Hello lovely viewers, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful News official YouTube channel, your top destination for the most explosive CBS soap updates. Make sure to smash that subscribe button and give this video a huge thumbs up. The sterile scent of antiseptic clung thick in the air of the private clinic nestled on the edge of Beverly Hills as Liam Spencer lay pale and anxious on the hospital bed, the soft beeping of monitors acting like a ticking time bomb beside him, his hands trembling ever so slightly beneath the pristine sheets as a nurse adjusted the 4-line running into his arm. He had signed the forms, albeit hesitantly, believing that Dr. Grace Buckingham was overseeing a new, experimental brain procedure meant to buy him time in his battle with an inoperable tumor, but the dread that had followed him into that facility had only grown heavier with each passing second, and as the door creaked open and footsteps echoed in the hall, Liam expected Grace, maybe even Finn, but nothing, could prepare him for the jaw-dropping shock of seeing Dr. Reese Buckingham standing in the doorway in surgical scrubs, holding a clipboard and grinning as if he belonged there, and Liam's voice, usually so measured, exploded like a bolt of lightning. "And oh, why are you here?" His words ricocheting off the walls with the kind of panic that can only be born of betrayal, his breath hitching as his eyes went wide, muscles stiffening, heart racing as he tried to push himself upright in the bed despite the and the dizziness clouding his thoughts, and Reese calmly walked toward him, expression disturbingly composed. "Relax, Liam. I'm here to help," he said, as if his very presence wasn't an earthquake in the center of Liam's world, as if he wasn't the disgraced doctor who once faked a baby's death to sell a child on the black market, and Liam's voice broke with rage and fear. "I don't want you near me. Where's Grace? Who signed off on this?" But before Reese could respond, the door swung open again and in stepped Grace, clipboard in hand, attempting her usual composed smile but her eyes darting nervously between the two men. "Liam, please, listen. I know this looks bad, but Reese has surgical experience, he's the only one who knows the full protocol of this treatment," and that's when Liam snapped, shoving the blanket off, struggling to sit upright. "You lied to me. You used me, you knew I never would have agreed if I'd known he was part of this," and his pulse spiked, the machine screaming alarm bells that sent Grace rushing to his side. "Liam, stop, you need to stay calm, your pressure's spiking," but he flinched away from her touch. "Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Get him out of here," and at that moment, down the corridor, Bill Spencer stormed into the clinic lobby like a hurricane wrapped in designer fury, security detail at his heels, shouting, "Where's my son? What the hell is Reese Buckingham doing in a surgical wing?" And as the receptionist stammered, Finn appeared behind him, jaw set in concern. "I didn't authorize this, Bill. Grace has gone completely rogue," and as both men bolted toward Liam's room, Steffi and Hope arrived moments behind, each gasping when they heard Liam's screams from down the hall. "Get that man away from me." And when Bill and Finn burst through the door, Bill nearly lunged at Reese, grabbing him by the collar, shoving him back into the wall, teeth clenched. "You touch my son, and I swear to God I'll make sure you never see another day of freedom," while Reese tried to explain. "I'm only here because Grace said this was the only way, I didn't force myself into this," but Finn interjected, voice ice cold. "Grace went behind the hospital board's back to bring in someone who's not even licensed. This is illegal, unethical, and reckless," and Grace, realizing the depth of the storm she had summoned, tried to calm the chaos. "Please, everyone, stop, I did what I thought was best for Liam. This procedure is dangerous, untested, and Reese helped develop it when we worked together overseas. He's the only one who knows the process," but her justification only poured gasoline on an already blazing inferno, and Hope rushed to Liam's bedside, her hands shaking as she took his, whispering, "I'm so sorry, I never should have let you go through this alone," and Liam, exhausted and furious, looked to Finn. "Can you take over? Can you fix this?" And Finn nodded. "I'll call the board myself and shut this whole thing down," before turning to Grace and Reese. "You both need to leave, now," and Reese, finally losing the smug mask, hissed at Finn, "I could have saved his life, you're throwing away his only shot," but Finn shot back, "You don't get to play hero after what you've done," and as security entered the room, escorting Reese out under Bill's glare, Grace broke down sobbing, whispering, "I didn't mean to hurt him. I wanted redemption, I thought I could fix everything." But as she was led out behind Reese, Steffi said softly, "You were warned, Grace. You had a choice," and the door shut behind them, leaving silence and the shallow sound of Liam's breath, and then Ridge and Brooke arrived, having rushed from Forrester, demanding answers, and Bill explained everything, holding nothing back. They tricked him, lied to his face, she promised one thing and gave him a criminal instead, and Ridge, seething, pulled out his phone. They're not walking away from this. I'll make damn sure the hospital board strips her of her license permanently. While Brooke embraced Hope, who trembled in her arms, whispering, I almost lost him, and back in the hallway, Reese was being handcuffed by waiting LAPD officers, having violated the terms of his conditional parole by practicing medicine, and Grace, though not arrested yet, stood trembling as reporters swarmed the parking lot, news already spreading like wildfire across every network. And back inside, Liam finally lay back, heart still racing, eyes wet, whispering to Hope. He walked in, like a ghost, and I thought I was going to die right there, and Hope kissed his forehead. You're safe now. He's gone. We'll get through this, and Finn prepared a new plan, fully above board, fully transparent, with proper specialists now being flown in from Boston and Zurich, while Bill stood by the window, watching the police cars drive away, muttering, they picked the wrong family to mess with. And as the sun dipped behind the city skyline, Liam closed his eyes, the nightmare not fully over but the worst behind him, or so they thought, for as the night crept in, a call came through from Reese's jail cell, and someone on the other end answered with the words, is it done? And so, the next storm begins. And we are also going to see Taylor Hayes in kind of panic mode. We begin with what's coming the remainder of this week, as we always do on early edition day. Bold and the beautiful spoilers, Liam's health crisis and Bill's intervention. So on Wednesday, July 16th, we've got Bridget and Finn talking to each other and they are impressed by how Liam is fighting through not only the cancer and the terminal brain tumor and now this gunshot wound to the chest, and he's just still really hanging in there. But they are going to be stunned to find out that Liam is gone from the hospital. And we know that Grace Buckingham and Liam and Bill Spencer are already over at the private facility on Wednesday. So, I wonder if Grace is going to tell Bridget and Finn that she moved him to another hospital. She can't really admit to this experimental surgery, you know. So maybe Grace tells them Liam's going to a private clinic to recuperate and she may hold back on info. Bold and the beautiful spoilers, Finn and Bridget. Skeptical Bridget and Finn are going to be talking about that this is kind of abnormal procedure. But Grace is happy to cash that $1 million payment from Dollar Bill. However, I also believe Grace is legitimately attempting to provide Liam with his best chance. I mean, both things can be true. She can need the money and be trying to help him. So, Bill and Liam over in the private clinic on Wednesday, and Liam is stunned that things are moving so fast, getting him this experimental treatment. Bill agrees it's a lot, but he reminds his son the alternative is death or a slightly slower death, but either way, death. And Liam is very optimistic about the idea of a possible cure for what he was told was terminal brain cancer. And Bill says once they find out that they've got good news after the surgery is over, then Bill says they will tell people what's going on. So nobody knows but Bill and Liam and Grace. And she comes in and tells both Bill and Liam, yes, this is unorthodox, but she has absolute faith in the procedure and in the doctor that's doing it that we still haven't met. We're going to talk about him or her in just a second. Bold and the beautiful drama, Bill's secret moves and Steffi's reaction on Thursday, July 17th. So, this is a very weird spoiler. It says, Bill whisks Liam away from the hospital while he's unconscious. Now, I don't know if the spoilers are wonky this week. Sometimes they get things out of order. They just don't do a great job when they release the spoilers from the PR office because we know Bill has already whisked Liam away from the hospital while Liam was wide awake to this clinic, as you're going to see on Wednesday. So, I doubt that Bill is yanking Liam from the surgical center right after brain surgery. So, what I wonder is if this is more of word spreads on Thursday that Bill took Liam out of the hospital without telling Steffi or Hope Logan or anybody, which by the way, Liam signed papers and agreed to. Grace handed him over, he signed them. All that consent is there, which surprised me, but it's good. So, I'm glad that Bill wasn't having to push it. I'm glad that Liam's totally on board. Bold and the beautiful spoilers, blanket bloopers? So, Grace and this mystery doctor are going to do the brain surgery on Liam and the pic looks absolutely nuts. I can't show you for copyright reasons, but it looks like Liam's on a table wrapped up in a bright blue blanket. You know, those blanket backward robe things they used to sell on TV. It looks like he's in a blanket with just his face showing and then I guess the top where his head's going to be cut out. And I wonder if they're actually going to shave part of his head or if he's going to come out of this with just like a band-aid stuck over all his head. You know, that's not how they do brain surgery. But we'll see. Scott Clifton may not have wanted to cut his hair. So Hope and Steffi are sitting by an empty hospital bed this week looking sad. And that's what you get for lying to Bill about why Liam didn't tell him about the cancer. Because Steffi flat out lied or the writers forgot the dialogue they wrote before or they just didn't care because Liam wasn't keeping the cancer secret from Bill out of any kind of resentment. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Forrester Creations Italy trip, and Taylor's wedding plans. So, look for the team over at Forrester Creations to continue preparations for the Italy trip with Nick continuing to press Brooke Logan to travel with him, not Eric Forrester and Ridge Forrester, as they go on the Forrester jet. And I wonder if Taylor is going to keep pushing to get Ridge to set a wedding date before he goes. Maybe she's going to hint around to get invited along on the trip. When Taylor said to Ridge earlier this week, "Let's set a date." And he said, "For what?" I was like, oh, girl, that man is not going to marry you. When you're engaged and you say set a date, he doesn't think it's for a movie or a dinner. You know that actually I literally laughed out loud. That was funny. Just a little foreshadowing. It's not going to go well for Taylor on Bold and the Beautiful. Bold and the Beautiful weekly recap, family tensions, medical miracles, and Italian escapades. Friday, July 18th, Brooke, Taylor, and Ridge set aside their differences to be there for Steffi and Hope, who are very upset about Liam being just poof, gone. And at this point, I wonder when and if Bill will give them any sort of update, or, you know, maybe he's going to withhold info just a little while longer because he's really annoyed that Steffi and Hope attacked him. They were lying and trying to keep him away from his son, whether this was justified or not. That's just the bottom line. That is what happened. No matter whose team you're on, those are facts. So Steffi is back at Forrester Creations this week, out of the hospital, back over. Since Liam's gone, she's not going to sit by the empty hospital bed. She's at work, but she's looking very worried. They have her tucked behind the desk cause she's at this point, I don't know, 10.5 months pregnant. It feels like she's been pregnant for so long. And they're hiding that big old baby bump. I can't imagine that Steffi or Hope, either one, are going to be able to focus on work, but they do need something to distract them. So, maybe they're going to help Bridget and Eric and Brooke prep for that trip. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Stephanie and Hope struggle the week of July 21st through the 25th. Stephanie and Hope are still struggling, worrying about Liam, hoping he's okay. Neither of them trust Bill, who clearly wants to save Liam's life, but I think he's also looking for a little bit of redemption because if Bill can save Liam when everybody else was just watching him die and Bill's gone and done something miraculous, that's going to be big. I am betting that when he talks to Steffi and Hope, he's going to tell them to back off Bill. They're not going to like that. Finn steps up for Steffi's. He may try to get info from Grace. Carter Walton is going to step up for Hope's. I think Liam is keeping something from me. I do expect a full replay of the Finn being shot and hidden away. Maybe Luna Nozawa is in a coma. We'll see. But she does have episodes in September. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Taylor pushes Liam's future is uncertain. We'll find out more about the mystery doctor soon. I think it'd be great if it was Wayne Brady, who was dropping in as Grace's ex-husband, Ree Buckingham, who did the experimental surgery. I mean, he was an OBGYN, but what's the big deal? Lady bits, brain bits, it's all bits, right? You know, Taylor keeps pushing to finalize wedding plans before he goes, but it's about to be too late. Brad Bell says Ridge experiences something in Italy that changes everything. Liam and Bill do some bonding and hoping and praying that this experimental surgery works. I'm assuming it will. And this was all for Scott Clifton's Emmy reel next year. Bridget and Finn may push for answers from Grace. And by the end of the week, look for travel to Italy to kick off. Everybody is on the way because the actual scenes in Italy begin on Monday, July 28th, and they run through Tuesday, August 5th. As the storm clouds gather over Los Angeles, The Bold and the Beautiful sets the stage for another jaw-dropping week of secrets, betrayals, and dramatic interventions. The focal point of the chaos centers on Liam Spencer's fragile health and Bill Spencer's drastic moves to preserve his son's life, moves that shock friends and family, divide loyalties, and lead to unexpected emotional breakdowns. At the heart of the drama is Dr. Grace Buckingham, whose hidden agenda and shady decisions blur the lines between savior and schemer. It begins with Liam defying the odds. Doctors Bridget Forrester and John Finnegan express their amazement that Liam continues to survive the triple threat of a terminal brain tumor, a gunshot wound to the chest, and the overwhelming trauma tied to both. Their medical admiration quickly turns to confusion and panic when they discover Liam is no longer in his hospital room. Unbeknownst to most of the hospital staff, Grace Buckingham has already relocated Liam, with Bill Spencer's support, to a secretive private facility. There, a highly controversial and off-the-book surgical procedure is underway, promised to remove Liam's inoperable tumor. The cost? $1 million. The surgeon? Still a mystery, or is it? Grace tells Bill and Liam the procedure is experimental and not permitted in any traditional hospital setting. She swears it's Liam's only hope. Liam, torn between fear and hope, chooses to go through with the operation. Bill reassures his son that doing nothing equals certain death and sees Grace's plan as a long shot worth taking. However, neither Steffi Forrester nor Hope Logan know of this high-stakes gamble. When they arrive at the hospital and find Liam missing, the panic is immediate. Questions swirl. Grace attempts to calm Finn and Bridget by vaguely claiming Liam was moved to a recovery clinic. She carefully avoids the truth about the surgery. As this happens, Steffi begins spiraling. She's worried sick, stuck between grief and anger, and forced to return to work at Forrester Creations. Yet she can't concentrate. Hope isn't faring any better. Both women feel blindsided and helpless, suspicious that Bill has taken matters into his own hands again. The show shifts its focus to Grace's questionable medical methods. The surgery is shown in eerie detail, Liam on a table, wrapped awkwardly in a strange blue blanket with his head exposed. Viewers speculate whether Scott Clifton, Liam, avoided shaving his head for storyline reasons, as the scene looks more like a dramatization than a real-life operation. Meanwhile, Taylor Hayes is also dealing with emotional instability. She's nervously trying to get Ridge to commit to a wedding date before he jets off to Italy. Ridge, distracted and aloof, responds with confusion when she brings it up. The moment is both funny and sad, a woman pleading for commitment from a man who clearly isn't on the same page. Her desperation builds as Taylor becomes more anxious and withdrawn. Elsewhere, at Forrester Creations, travel plans to Italy are underway. Brooke Logan, Eric Forrester, and Nick Marone are prepping for their upcoming trip. There's drama about who's flying with whom and speculation about whether Taylor will try to tag along, clinging to her dreams of marrying Ridge. Back at the hospital, Bridget and Finn continue pressing Grace for answers. They're skeptical and uneasy, knowing that experimental surgeries, especially ones kept secret, can lead to devastating outcomes. Finn is especially alarmed, having sensed something odd about Grace's connection to Liam. On Thursday, July 17th, spoilers claim Bill whisks Liam away while unconscious, which raises questions, since he was awake when he agreed to the operation. The confusion might stem from overlapping timelines, but what's certain is that Bill and Grace acted without informing Liam's family, something that fuels mistrust and outrage. Grace's motivations remain unclear. While she's received a hefty $1 million payout from Bill, her dedication to Liam's recovery seems genuine. It's possible she both needs the money and believes in the procedure. But with her shady past and connection to Reese Buckingham, her ex-husband known for stealing babies, it's hard to know what to believe. As the week progresses, Steffi and Hope sit solemnly beside Liam's empty bed. Their anger at Bill deepens. They accuse him of recklessness, and he, in turn, insists he did what no one else would, he tried to save his son. Bill's growing frustration leads to him withholding updates, choosing silence over confrontation. Meanwhile, Carter Walton and Finn become the emotional anchors for Hope and Steffi, respectively. Finn continues probing Grace for the truth, while Carter offers Hope reassurance and emotional support. There's speculation that Liam is hiding a secret of his own, perhaps about what he knows of the procedure or who the true surgeon is. By the end of the week, preparations for the Italy trip intensify. Everyone's trying to juggle emotional turmoil with professional obligations. Brooke, Ridge, and Taylor temporarily put their differences aside to support Steffi and Hope. But the undercurrent of tension remains. Taylor's desire to secure her future with Ridge is threatened as he remains emotionally distant. Spoilers hint that something Ridge experiences in Italy could be life-altering. Meanwhile, Liam and Bill continue bonding as they await the outcome of the surgery. There's a quiet hope that this procedure might truly work. If not, it could mean irreversible consequences. By July 21st through 25th, the emotional fallout from Liam's disappearance continues. Steffi and Hope still have no answers. Bill becomes increasingly defensive. Finn and Bridget grow more suspicious. And Grace? Her secret may not stay hidden for long. All eyes are on the scans that will reveal whether Liam's tumor is truly gone, or whether the whole thing was a ruse. In the midst of it all, talk begins to stir about who the mystery surgeon really is. Fans speculate, could it be Reese Buckingham? Could Wayne Brady reprise his role in a dramatic twist? The idea of an OBGYN performing brain surgery is wild, but this is the bold and the beautiful. As the storyline nears its climax, Bill's desperate move may either crown him a hero or bury him in disgrace. Grace's gamble could cost her everything. And Liam's fate rests on whether this clandestine operation truly worked, or if it was nothing more than $1 million illusion. With travel to Italy set to kick off by July 28th, the stage is set for revelations, heartbreak, and perhaps even redemption. But one thing is certain, the emotional baptism has begun.